'cause this is Africa. Samina, mina, waka, waka, Samina, mina, sakarewa. This time for Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear AMI members, online audience, welcome to a new episode of our weekly podcast, Friday Pulse. Friday Pulse today provokes some issues related to the amazing Mauritanian interaction and passion for World Cup. World Cup has become an occasion of spending more time sitting before TV, and many houses turn to be clubs where people shout and discuss all matches to each one his or her own team. The reactions of Mauritanian youth as well as men and women from all different ages postpone their responsibilities and duties for the sake of staying hours and hours cross-legged watching a match on TV. All Mauritanian families become fans or experts of football, discussing who wins and who loses in taxis, buses, classes, and on the university campus and everywhere more than anybody else. The paradox is that Mauritanians support all football teams while they have never had a team. Mauritanians have never ever been lucky to qualify for African Cup of Nations, let alone to have our team participating in the World Football Cup. Mauritanians are more knowledgeable in football and names of players and the timing of games and which team is scheduled to verse the other. It goes without saying that football game, especially World Cup, which has become a culture, or rather a popular culture that is invading every family and crossing the geographical frontiers of countries, football now is a big industry through which players are exchanged and sold expensively with millions of dollars. Last week, Mauritanian national TV has made a great decision to pay 90 million from the national budget to provide the Mauritanian spectators with the chance to enjoy the World Cup in every house, shacks and huts. This amount has cost an arm and a leg, while many people do not have what to eat or where to shelter. The first point we want to make is how the Mauritanian government spends money on purchasing the right of broadcasting World Cup at the time this amount could have been invested in something more sustainably durable. This point will be with you, Talib.
Thank you, Ali Sheikh. This is the first time in Mauritanian history to pay for the rights of broadcasting the World Cup. To be frank, I'm not against broadcasting the World Cup at all, because I am a soccer player in the first hand. But I'm wondering, how can a country like ours, that has only one old-fashioned Olympic stadium and its football team has never exceeded the qualifier of the African Cup of Nations, pay such a huge amount of money in a transient event like this? How can a country like ours, most of its people are surrounded by misery in isolated areas, packed like sardines in slums without clean drinking water, electricity, or the minimum of healthcare services, commit such act of wasting the public money like that? It seems that the country's officials spend the public budget aimlessly, while the overwhelming majority of Mauritanians cannot afford their daily bread. How can those governments remove the blindfolders on their eyes and see the reality as it is? Turning a blind eye to embezzlement and a deaf ear to the hungry people's cries can never be a means of solution or change instruments. Providing people with suitable housing and the basic requirements of their daily life are necessary and necessities that should be put on the top of the government priorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Talib. One of the important aspects of the World Cup in Mauritania is the Mauritanians' interaction with World Cup games. And this point is with you, Ahmed Bouya.
Thank you very much, Ali Sheikh. The World Cup is an occasion where most of Mauritanians have the opportunity to organize their time. Young people start their day by opening a discussion about yesterday's matches. They talk about the best play of that day. They remember the wonderful goals and the suspense they had. If it happened, they supported a specific team. They talk about the referee and his performance, and if he wronged their favorite team. Games in the World Cup start just before midday in Mauritania. So most of youth tend to wake up just an hour before the matches. They drink tea and prepare a place where they will sit down or lie to watch the game. They will not move from it before the end of the game. Mauritanians like very much to watch all the matches and side with most of the teams they are playing. One cannot find a group of young men or women that support the same team. They like very much to bet, and the prize is always an acknowledgement on the part of the loser that the winner is a good football analyst. Mauritanians like very much to listen to good commentators in both Arabic and French, and they firmly believe that a good commentator makes of a bad game a wonderful one, and they even memorize nice and wonderful piece of a commented game. They precisely appreciate the commentators who introduces in their comments artistic styles and never stop talking while the ball is rolling, kicked by feet, hit by heads and all parts of the body except the hand, because the hand is haram. Mauritanians like very much football analysis. They were deeply disappointed because the national television failed to meet their expectations when it came to analysis. They like very much Al Jazeera Sport, which made contracts with wide range of football analysts who were players, coaches and whatnot. Eventually, it is good to like sport and to practice it. It is always perfect to follow sport news, especially if one wants to be a sports journalist. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohamed Bouya. The last point is going to be with Mohamed Yahya. Mohamed Yahya, what do you think about negative sides of the World Cup in Mauritania? Is there any?
Thanks, Al-Sheikh. In fact, World Cup is one of the biggest world events in Mauritania. For instance, I've seen so many black students skype off their classes to watch the World Cup. I have seen workers leave their work before the end of the day in order not to miss special matches. Some high government officials are turning their offices into stadiums and news desks, while others stay at home to enjoy the World Cup at the expense of their jobs. I think that instead of those negative things, it's better for us to focus on preparing and training a national team that can represent Mauritania in the different world arenas. I'm wondering why the national team has always been defeated by the nearest neighboring countries. What are the reasons behind our continuous failure in the field of football? Why we care about other teams and forget about ours? Unless we get clear answers to these questions, we can never make an achievement in the rising world of football. It's time to think at least in the negative sides of World Cups on our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohamed Yahya. Thank you, Abdul Muntalib. Thank you, Mohamed Bouya. One of my students came too late to pass her final exams at the University of Nouakchott. When I asked her why she is late, she said, my favorable football team was playing and I forgot time watching TV. Good luck to all teams and to all Mauritanian spectators of the World Cup in Africa. Thanks for listening. Till another Friday Pulse, this is me, Ali Sheikh, wishing you all the very best.
Cause this is Africa. Samina, mina, waka, waka, samina, mina, sakalewa. This time for Africa.